My fellow Burkinabe, this land belongs to us all, and with that comes the responsibility to keep it clean, dignified, and worthy of our children. Let's raise our tools, join hands, and restore the beauty of Burkina Faso together. Something powerful is unfolding in our country, not with foreign aid, not with global media attention, and not with grand ceremonies, but with the will of the people. This wasn't a protest. It wasn't a political stunt. It was simply a collective act of love for our home. It began quietly, with a single call from President Ibrahim Traoré. No massive campaign, no international funding, just a humble request: take care of your community. And he didn't issue that call from behind a desk. He walked the streets himself. In the heart of Ouagadougou, the capital, the president picked up a broom and swept the ground alongside ordinary citizens. No flashing cameras, no international reporters, just a man doing what needed to be done. The message was honest and straightforward. This is our home. We must be its caretakers. And the people listened. From the buzzing cities to the silent countryside, the idea caught fire. People didn't wait for orders. They grabbed shovels, buckets, gloves, and got to work. Over 15,000 citizens joined, not because they were paid, not because someone forced them, but because they believed in something bigger. This wasn't a one-time gesture. It grew into a 7-day movement, National Sanitation Week. They cleaned schools, hospitals, roads, markets, and entire neighborhoods. No NGOs, no cash handouts, no military command, just unity. And this is no myth. This is real, supported by official reports and seen firsthand by the people who made it happen. It's a story of self-respect, discipline, and action. If you believe Africa can rise by its own hands, share this story. Let's tell the truth about Burkina Faso. The cleanup began not with strategy papers, but with one man's conviction. President Traoré didn't go live on television with promises or programs. He simply said, "It's our duty to keep Burkina Faso clean." And he didn't stop at words. He showed up. In Ouagadougou, people saw him clearing trash, working shoulder to shoulder with the community. No bodyguards, no podium, just presence. That changed everything. The people felt seen, and they responded, not with hesitation, but with heart. From cities like Bobo Dioulasso to villages like Kaya and Tenkodogo, communities mobilized. There were no long instructions, no formal guidelines. People organized themselves. Youth talked to elders. Neighbors encouraged each other. Friends called friends. Entire towns came alive with purpose. What began as one man's call turned into a nationwide wave of effort. And for one solid week, Burkina Faso transformed. National Sanitation Week wasn't a slogan. It became a lived reality. Thousands stepped up with the tools they had: brooms, wheelbarrows, even bare hands. They didn't wait for outside help or perfect conditions. They did it themselves. In Ouagadougou, they cleared streets and bus stations buried under years of trash. In Bobo Dioulasso, alleyways once filled with waste became walkable again. In rural areas, villages revived their shared spaces with energy and pride. It didn't take money, it took will. From north to south, east to west, everyone played a role. The rich and poor, young and old, farmers and shopkeepers. Even soldiers came, not to enforce, but to participate. They cleaned like everyone else. This was more than a cleanup. It was a declaration. A moment when a nation said, "We are capable, we are responsible, we are united." And this is only the beginning. They came not as officials or workers, but as neighbors, as equals, as citizens of one nation sharing one purpose. No one was ordered to join. They showed up because they believed in something bigger than themselves, a cleaner, prouder Burkina Faso. This wasn't a top-down command. It was a people's movement, born in the hearts of those who love their land. One of the most touching transformations happened in the schools. Across the country, teachers and students rolled up their sleeves together. They swept classrooms, tidied yards, and even scrubbed the toilets. In many places, lessons ended early, not for leisure, but to lend a hand. Children wiped desks, picked up litter, and made their school grounds shine. Teachers cleaned windows and entrances, setting an example. And before long, parents joined too. Unasked, unprompted, they simply wanted to be part of something meaningful. Some schools didn't stop at cleaning. They repainted faded walls. They fixed benches long broken. They cleared weeds choking the yards. What had once been dusty playgrounds became bright, safe spaces where kids could run freely. In the town of Zinari, one neglected school became unrecognizable by weekend. Students swept out old classrooms. Trees were planted. Parents brought water to help wash the floors. The community had reclaimed its school. Teachers saw something change. Attendance rose, not because homework got easier, but because children now had a clean, welcoming place to learn. Parents smiled, knowing their kids were studying in classrooms that felt safe and cared for. It wasn't just about tidiness, it was about dignity, learning, and hope. Health centers also saw powerful changes. Hospitals, clinics, and tiny rural posts all took part. Nurses and doctors didn't stay behind desks. They stepped outside and got to work, sweeping walkways, removing old trash, and cleaning clinic grounds. Volunteers joined them, scrubbing benches and clearing paths. In many places, garbage that had sat untouched for years was finally gone. In a clinic in Kédougou, nurses and patients cleaned the courtyard together. Trash that once blocked walkways was cleared, making it easier for the sick and elderly to reach help. Health workers noticed the difference. The ground was no longer littered, the air smelled fresher. In some regions, fewer illnesses were reported, fewer flies, fewer stomach problems. No one needed a study to prove what they could already feel. In the small village of Pa, a neglected health post was transformed. Volunteers picked up plastic waste, broken bottles, and rotting debris. They scrubbed benches where patients sat. They swept paths to the door. The health workers said it felt like a new space, safer, cleaner, and more respectful to those who came in seeking care. Even small changes had made a large impact. Markets, the lifeblood of every community, were next. These are the places where people buy food, trade goods, and share news. But over time, many had become overwhelmed with trash, waste gathered under stalls, in alleyways, along the paths. During sanitation week, vendors hit pause. Instead of selling, they swept. They cleared out scraps, washed down work areas, and took back their space. In Bobo Dioulasso, alleyways once blocked with garbage were opened up again. In Kaya, young volunteers restored order to the busy bus station. In Zorgo, villagers cleaned the area around their health post. And in Ishuiga, market traders worked together, cleaning the stalls where they sold produce. They removed spoiled food, swept up wrappers and bags, and restored pride to their workspaces. The market hadn't looked so clean in years. Traders stood taller, surrounded by the dignity of cleanliness. Public roads and drain systems weren't left behind. In many towns, storm drains were clogged with waste, plastic bags, bottles, discarded junk. These blocked paths had long caused flooding and danger, but during the week, locals tackled them head-on. People waded in with gloves, tools, and bare hands, removing the muck and opening the channels. In Awawarg, a group of volunteers spent hours on a drainage canal that hadn't seen daylight in years. Bit by bit, they cleared it out, restoring the flow of water, preventing floods, and making roads safe again. When they finished, water once blocked by trash now flowed freely. Streets became safer and easier to walk. The impact wasn't just visual, it was practical. Markets turned into cleaner, more organized places to buy and sell. Roads were clearer. Bus stations no longer overflowed with garbage. Dusty compounds became gathering places, ready for community events, meetings, or celebrations. And all this transformation happened in just 7 days. What made it truly remarkable was that it came from the people. Burkinabe helping Burkinabe. No foreign group directed the work. No one was paid to participate. There were no expensive contracts, no consultants with flowcharts. It was driven by belief,